In today's video for Poker 101 course, we're going to talk about expected value. So if you don't know what expected value is and you want to find out, stay tuned because that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. If you don't know who I am, I'm Alton Hardin. I'm the founder of MicroGrinder Poker School and our MicroGrinder Poker School YouTube channel. And we're all about turning beginning and struggling poker players into solid winning poker players through strong poker fundamentals. So if you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So today's lecture is all about the concept of expected value. And this is really the perfect time to talk about it because in our previous lecture, we talked about variance and the two really do go hand in hand. So what is expected value and why is it so important? Well, expected value looks at poker in terms of long-term expectation. And when we talk about expected value, it's a long-term expectation of a play on the average based upon a specific scenario. So when we talk about a play over the long term, it's either profitable or it's unprofitable, or it has a net EV of 0, meaning we don't lose any money or we don't win any money. So in terms of a good poker player, a good poker player is going to strive to make profitable plays over the long run. They don't care about the short-term outcomes. All they care about is if they got in with the best of it and they made what we call our positive expected value plays. Now on the flip side, we have beginning poker players, we have gamblers, we have fun poker players. They're there to win money that specific session. They don't care if the play is profitable over the long run or not. They play for their short-term profits. So we don't want to be that type of player. We want to be a player that plays profitably over the long run, and that's where expected value comes into play. So when we talk about expected value, you're going to hear the term EV a lot. And EV is simply the acronym for expected value. And when we talk about profitable expected value plays, the acronym for that is plus EV. For an unprofitable expected value play, the acronym for that is minus EV. So of course we want to make plus EV plays and we don't want to make minus EV plays. So let's do a simple example. First example is going to be a 0 EV play. And we're going to go back to our simple coin flip scenario from our variance discussion. So let's say a buddy of mine, we decide to do a basic coin flip wager. Every time he wins, I give him $1. Every time I win, he gives me $1. So every time it lands on tails, I win. Every time it lands on heads, he wins. Let's say that we flip the coin 4 times in a row and it lands on tails every single time. Well, that's variance for you right there, right? Because we expect it to land on heads and tails equal amount of times. Well, he gives me $4. If I'm a beginning poker player, I'm probably happy, right? Or if I'm a beginning gambler, I'm probably happy because I won in the short term. But if we continue to do this wager, and let's say we did it 1,000 times, it should end up being 50-50. So I should end up giving him $1 50% of the time. He should end up giving me $1 50% of the time. And it all cancels out. And neither of us are going to win or lose any money in the long run. So this is a 0 EV play because nobody wins or loses any money. Now let's switch it around. Let's say that every time I win, now he gives me $2, but every time he wins, I still only give him $1. And so let's go back to that 4 times example. Well, in the short run, I ended up winning a total of $8. But let's say we end up just doing it over the long run. Let's say we end up doing 10 times and it ends up just being equal 50-50. Well, for the 5 times that he won, I gave him $5. But for the 5 times that I won, he gave me $10. So I ended up profiting $5. And so if we look at the expectation of it, I am netting $1 on the average for every time we flip a coin. So for me, this is a long-term plus EV or positive expectation play. For him, it's a long-term minus expected value play because he's going to lose $1 on the average because he ends up giving me $2 while I only give him $1. So I net $1 on the average. So that's a simple example using that coin flip scenario. We can actually start to tweak this and we can start looking at this from the perspective of poker. So in poker, there are plays that are clearly profitable and there are plays that are clearly unprofitable. A good example of a profitable play is that your opponent is giving you good pot odds price to call when you have good equity to call. So remember in poker, if you don't know about pot odds, don't worry about it. But if you're really set on trying to learn it right now, head on over to MicroGrinder Poker School, sign up for the free mini course version of my Essential Poker Math class, and then if you want to take the full version, there's a coupon code down below here, so you can get it for 50% off. Now, the other thing too is that you can also check out my best-selling poker book. A fun fact for this, which I'm super proud of, is when I checked today, it is May 29th. Both versions were bestsellers, number 1 and 2 on the poker top bestsellers on Amazon.com. And I suspect WSOP has something to do with it. I suspect people are probably brushing up on the basic poker mathematics, prepping for the tournament. Anyways, back to the lecture. So you need to look at pot odds when you're determining if a play is profitable or unprofitable. So your pot odds equates to your required equity to call a play. And when your pot odds are equal to your required equity, that is a zero EV play because it's a break-even play. So when your equity is higher than the pot odds price that your opponent is laying to you, meaning that they are betting and they're giving you a specific price to call, if you have a greater equity percentage of winning the hand than the pot odds price, then that's going to be plus EV. If your equity is lower than the pot odds price they're giving you, then that's going to be minus EV play. So for example, let's say your opponent goes all in for a pot size bet on the flop. You have a gut shot straight draw. That gives you 4 outs, which is approximately, if you call the all-in, you have approximately 16% chance of hitting that draw. But with a pot size bet, your opponent is laying you 2-to-1 odds, which means you have to have 33% equity. So there's an equity deficit there. You need to have 33% equity to call at minimum, but you only have 16. If you call, that's going to be minus EV over the long run. So whether or not you won that specific play that time, if you did that 100 times or if you did that 1,000 times, you're going to lose money over the long run, and that's going to be an unprofitable play. Now, if we look at a different example, and we'll look at it from an implied odds perspective of set mining. So let's say that you have pocket deuces, you raise an early position, and somebody decides to 3-bet you that's fairly aggressive, or they're just really tight, and you know that the 3-betting range is going to be something like aces and kings plus. Well, if we look at it from an implied odds perspective, there's typically a 15-to-1 rule or 20-to-1 rule that ensures that that's profitable over the long run. So if you look at their stack size compared to how much you have to call, and if you're getting 20-to-1 in terms of how much they have left or 15-to-1 in terms of how much they have left, in the long run, if you expect them to stack off or commit with an overpair or top pair top kicker, and when you hit your set, then that's going to be profitable based upon implied odds. So that's the other side of the spectrum. And again, I'm not going to get too much into the mathematics of all this. And there's also expected value equations. So you're probably asking, well, Alton, how do I know exactly how profitable a play is over the long run? Well, you have to look at expected value calculations, and there's a whole wide array of them, and I talk about the basic ones in my book. In my book here, I do talk about them. So there are expected value calculations, and that's how we determine how unprofitable or how profitable a play is. Now, without going and ranting on too much, because I could talk about this for a long time, really, what you need to understand is that your goal in poker is to make long-term profitable plays. You don't care, for example, let's say you get all in with aces versus king-queen, and you're roughly a 70% favorite pre-flop. If king-queen beats you 3 times in a row, if you're a player that plays based upon the expected value of the play, you don't care if you lose. You shouldn't care if you lose. You should care that you got all in with a profitable play, and that's really all that matters. So, a beginning poker player is going to be upset. They're going to be frustrated that their aces got cracked 3 times in a row by a mediocre hand, getting all in pre-flop where they were a huge favorite. But a solid winning poker player is going to understand that they made a long-term profitable play, and that's all that matters, because in the long run, variance starts to dissipate, and the true equity and the true expected value really comes into play over the long run. So that's going to conclude our discussion. If you have any questions, let me know. And let's go ahead and let's conclude today's lecture on expected value. So that's going to conclude today's lecture on expected value. And there's a couple key takeaways. The first one is that you need to strive to make long-term profitable expected value plays. So you want to make plus EV plays over the long run, and you want to stay away from minus EV plays. The other big takeaway is that you shouldn't be worried about variance, right? Variance rules the day in short-term play. But as we play more and more hands over the same scenarios or similar scenarios, variance is going to dissipate to the point where it flatlines and it shouldn't play a role whatsoever. You should see the expected results. And so long as you're making plus EV plays, regardless of whether your opponent sucks out in the short term and you take a bad beat in the short term, it doesn't matter, because over the long run, if you're making a long-term profitable play, then you're going to make money. And that's really all that matters. Now, if you guys really want to understand the math behind expected value, you want to understand the expected value equations, head on over to MicroGrinder Poker School, take a look at my Essential Poker Math course. Start with the free version, the free mini version course, and if you like it, there's a code down below where you can take that course for 50% off. Another option, though, also is you can take a look at my best-selling poker book, Essential Poker Math. The expanded edition that I have here, not the original edition, the expanded edition includes free enrollment to my Essential Poker Math course. So if you pick up either the print edition or the Kindle edition of this, you can get free enrollment to that course as well. And here's a little tidbit for you as my YouTube subscribers and viewers. You can pick up the Kindle edition for $7.99, and that's actually cheaper than the course. So you're pretty much getting a 2-for-1 deal, except you're getting it at a discount. So rather than paying for the course, I recommend picking up the book. If you're strapped for cash, get the Kindle edition, and you're pretty much getting the course for free. So anyways, if you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that like button down below. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, right? Hit that subscribe button down there where it says subscribe. Hit that. Tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your fellow poker player friends that you know. Tell them all about my channel. Anybody interested about poker, anybody interested in learning the game, tell them about this Poker 101 series. And then lastly, if you guys like what I'm doing here, if you guys like me creating content on this YouTube channel on a regular basis, and you want me to keep doing it over the long run, check my Patreon account info down below, because if you guys support me, it helps me out. It helps me to do this on a regular basis. And without a lot of support, I'm probably not going to continue to do this over the long run, just because it takes time away from doing other things for my business. But I want to do this stuff for you, and I appreciate you guys watching all my videos. But anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you at our next video. Take care.